Stop for a moment. Put down whatever is pulling at your attention, just for these next few minutes. You have carried enough noise today. Enough questions. Enough thoughts that keep circling back to the same place. Because there is something I want you to understand before you move on with your day. The fact that it has not happened yet does not mean I said no. You have been measuring my silence with your calendar. You have been looking at the date, the age, the bank account, the empty seat beside you, the opportunity that never opened, and quietly asking yourself, God, did I miss it? No. You did not miss me. And you did not miss the purpose I placed inside your life. There are things I have allowed to remain unfinished, not because I forgot about them, but because you have been looking at the unfinished part while I have been working on what you cannot see. You see the closed door. I see what is being prepared behind it. You see the delay. I see the timing. You see an empty space. I see room being made. And I know this is difficult for you because waiting has a way of changing the way a person thinks. After enough disappointment, you stop expecting good news. You start protecting your heart by lowering your expectations. You tell yourself, I will believe it when I see it. You call it wisdom. But sometimes it is simply exhaustion wearing the clothes of wisdom. I want you to put that down. You do not have to know exactly how I will do it. You only need to trust that I have not stopped working. Think about Elijah. He prayed for rain after a long season of dryness, and nothing changed immediately. His servant looked toward the horizon and came back with the same answer. Nothing. Again. And again. And again. But Elijah kept watching. Then, on the seventh time, the servant saw something so small it almost looked insignificant. A little cloud. That was all. A tiny sign against a huge empty sky. But Elijah recognized what others could have dismissed. The rain had not covered the sky yet. The evidence was small. But the change had begun. And I want you to remember that. The beginning of your answer may not look impressive. It may look like one conversation. One idea. One unexpected opportunity. One person remembering your name. One expense disappearing. One door opening just a little. One morning when you wake up and realize the heaviness is not as heavy as it was yesterday. Do not despise small beginnings. The first sign is not always the full answer. Sometimes it is simply proof that the season has started to move. You have been asking me to change everything at once. I may begin by changing one thing that changes everything else. So stop demanding that the whole road become visible before you take the next step. I have never asked you to walk farther than the light I have given you. You do not need tomorrow's instructions today. You need today's obedience. Take the step you can see. Trust me with the step you cannot. And there is something else I want you to hear. You have been assuming that every closed door was a rejection. It wasn't. Some doors closed because they were never meant to carry you into your future. You mourned certain opportunities. You begged me to reopen certain relationships. You thought losing them meant losing part of your destiny. But some things had to leave because they were attached to a version of you that I am no longer asking you to become. Not every loss was punishment. Not every delay was failure. Not every closed door was an enemy. Some endings were protection. Some silence was preparation. Some waiting was alignment. And I know you wanted an explanation while you were hurting. But sometimes the explanation only becomes clear after you have walked far enough to see what you were being protected from. That is why I do not want you turning around every few steps, asking whether you should go back. Keep moving. There is nothing behind you that I need you to become again. You have changed. You have learned. You have survived things you once thought would break you. And now I am teaching you something different. Not how to survive. How to receive. That is harder for some of you than you realize. You have become so used to fighting for everything that peace feels suspicious. You have become so accustomed to carrying everyone else that being helped feels uncomfortable. You have become so familiar with disappointment that hope itself makes you nervous. But I am not asking you to live forever in the posture that kept you alive in the hardest season. That season was real. But it does not have to remain your identity. Before you continue, I want you to do something simple. In the comments, write, "I will trust God with the timing." Do not write it because everything is already solved. Write it because you are choosing not to let the delay decide what you believe. Sometimes you need to see your own faith in words. Now keep listening. Because there is another part of this you need to understand. You have been asking, when will my life finally change? But I want you to ask a better question. What is God preparing me to recognize when it does? Because if I only changed your circumstances without changing the way you see, you could walk straight into the answer and still call it an accident. Joseph spent years in places that looked nothing like his promise. A pit. A household that was not his own. A prison. None of those places looked like leadership. But every place taught him something he needed later. The prison did not look like preparation. It was preparation. Your current season may not look like the beginning of anything important. But that does not mean it is empty. You are learning patience in places you never wanted to be. You are developing discernment because you have been disappointed. You are becoming more careful with your time because you finally understand its value. You are learning who really deserves access to your heart. You are learning that peace is worth more than approval. Those lessons are not wasted. They are becoming part of the person who will carry what you have been praying for. So do not keep asking me for the next chapter while refusing to read the page you are on. There is something here. There is something you are becoming here. There is something I am building in you here. And when the next door opens, you will understand why you needed this strength. You are not behind. You are not too old. You are not disqualified because of the mistakes you made 5 years ago. You are not disqualified because you stumbled last month. You are not disqualified because you are tired today. I have never required perfection before I began using someone's life. Moses felt inadequate. David was overlooked. Gideon was afraid. Peter failed publicly. Yet I was not finished with any of them. So why have you decided that your worst chapter gets the final word? It does not. Your mistake is not your identity. Your delay is not your destiny. Your past is not the authority over your future. And the thing you have been asking me about for so long? Bring it back into my hands. Not because I need to be reminded. Because you need to stop carrying it as though everything depends on you. You have been trying to control outcomes I never asked you to control. Do your part. Be faithful with what is in front of you. Make the call. Send the application. Have the conversation. Take care of your home. Do the work. Forgive where forgiveness is needed. Set boundaries where boundaries are needed. Pray when you do not feel like praying. And then leave room for me to do what you cannot. Because your responsibility is obedience. My responsibility is the outcome. You do not need to manufacture your breakthrough. You do not need to force people to choose you. You do not need to manipulate doors open. You do not need to chase what I have assigned to you. What belongs in your life will not require you to destroy yourself just to keep it. And when the right door opens, you will notice something. You will not have to become somebody else to walk through it. You will not have to beg. You will not have to pretend. You will not have to abandon your values. You will not have to lose your peace to keep the opportunity. There will be grace for the next step. So breathe. Lift your head. You are closer to change than you think, but I do not want you obsessed with the date. I want you present for the process. Watch for the small cloud. Watch for the unexpected conversation. Watch for the idea that will not leave your mind. Watch for the person whose timing feels strangely precise. Watch for the peace that arrives before the evidence does. And when something small begins to shift, do not dismiss it. Thank me for it. Because a small cloud is still a cloud. A first step is still movement. A seed is still the beginning of a harvest. And your story is still being written. So tonight, when you are alone with your thoughts, do not rehearse everything that has gone wrong. Ask me one simple question. Father, what is the next step? Then listen. Not for a voice that shakes the whole world. Listen for the quiet direction that gives you enough light to move. You do not need the whole map. You need the next step. And my child, I want you to leave these minutes knowing one thing with certainty. I have not forgotten you. I have not abandoned you. And your life is not standing still simply because you cannot see everything changing yet. Some things are moving beneath the surface. Some things are being removed. Some things are being prepared. And some things are waiting for the right moment to arrive. Stay faithful. Stay open. Keep walking. The chapter ahead does not need the person you used to be. It needs the person you are becoming. And you are becoming stronger, wiser, calmer, and more ready than you realize. Do not give up in the quiet season. The silence is not the end of the story. It may simply be the place where the story is turning. And when the answer begins to appear, you will look back and realize. I was never forgotten. I was being prepared. And what I thought was the delay was part of the journey. Before you go, remember this. You do not need to see everything to trust God with the next step. And if this message spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel so you can stay connected to more messages like this. Share this with someone who may be struggling with a season of waiting, because they may need to hear today that their story is not over. God bless you, and keep walking forward.